that particular press release from the presidency. But she's going to be talking to us about what this means. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is damage control. I listened to Jimmy Disu this morning and he was saying, that, people need to be punished. I also heard in the news that the IGP is out on some event and he's asking that top officers who handle the issue, be investigated. Are we investigating the IGP too? Well, these are the big stories for today. Before I bring my guest into the conversation, welcome to Hard Facts. Welcome to the Big Three. My name is Maryann Okon, Lagos. Let's get the show rolling.
Get ready for the most important news of the day. It's time for the Big Three stories on Hard Facts. Tune in to our primetime show for the latest updates and in-depth analysis on the top stories making headlines. From breaking news to in-depth investigations, we bring you the facts you need to know. Join us as we delve into the biggest stories shaping our world today. Tune in to the Big Three every weekday, 3 to 4 p.m. and stay informed with the news that matters the most. Hard Facts, where the truth always comes first.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Facts, whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories. We're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Yes, this is the nation's #1 talk news and sports radio station. We're broadcasting live from our audiovisual studios right here in Itimian Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. This is Hard Fact. Did I say my name? I can say it again. Maryann Okon. Let's look at the big three stories for today. Then I bring my guest into the conversation. Donyo Kupe is in the news. Yes, he granted an interview yesterday on Channels Television. And he's saying Tinubu will spend 8 years because there's an agreement. Tinubu will spend 8 years because there's an agreement. Okay. All right. So let's look at that story from Donyo Kupe. Quickly, Donyo Kupe is saying that he's a former Director General of the Obi Datti presidential campaign. Yeah. And he has said that there is an agreement that the North will do 8 years and the South will do 8 years. Okupe said this during that interview with Shane Okinbaloye on Channels. He said Buhari did 8 years as president and now Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do 8 years if he wants to. He added that Tinubu would get a second term in 2027 if he fixes the challenges that the country is going through. Okupe said, and I quote, Tinubu is doing exceedingly well and he's going to do much better. But Tinubu needs understanding, not undermining. Now, I want to play you an audio from Donyo Kupe from Channels Television yesterday. He's saying that, the Nigerians should be applauding the president as opposed to that we're not being fair to him. But I want to let you listen to Donyo Kupe in his words. And then, of course, we'll go on to other matters. Take a listen.
Say, did you understand? You can understand the economy. I have no idea what to do. Or your mindset may be such that it cannot actually accommodate what is required. Only, I don't want to use this word because it keeps coming to my mind. Only somebody who is just, crazy, like Bola Tinubu, will stick out his neck at this. Whoever who will come to run Nigeria after 8 years of total destruction by a former administration. But yes, I think we didn't talk about this yesterday, but I'm sure he has that on his mind that I brought Buhari, and so I may have to take some parts of responsibility. But then Yoruba people say, Alagemoti be omo, I'm Mojo Dowe. The fact that he brought Buhari and Buhari didn't do well, we can't kill him for that. But I think Nigerians are being unfair. This gentleman has been here for 17 months. Only there was a man that was here for 18 months and for 8 years. Nobody asked any questions. Nobody said anything. Now this one is there for 1 year, and you're asking, why is he not correcting the ills of 40 years? Well, who does that?
Who does that, says Donyo Kupe. Well, are you ready for 8 years of Tinubu? Just a question, because he's saying, look, hey, the North did 8 years, so the South has to do 8 years. Are you ready for 8 years? I mean, this is like, in his words, it's just 18 months and we're complaining. Can you do 8 years? Quickly, let me move away from that to another one. Well, as you all know, the whole world is looking at the United States because the final votes are being cast today. Yes, today is the D-Day. Even though early voting has happened, world leaders, nations anxious as U.S. decides Harris and Trump's fate. A lot of people are saying, well, Trump is better. The others were saying Kamala is better. Some are saying, well, oh, no, look. Some of these people just, the Democrats are just going to destroy America the more. We need to go back to Trump, that can put America together. And there are those who are saying, look, Trump, is not the right guy. Besides, he's got cases hanging over his head. Hey, we don't have a vote. We don't have a dog in this fight. I think the only dog we have in the fight is that whoever sits there, America will always come first to Americans. Yeah. But you know what they say, if America sneezes, the whole world catches cold. So let's see. What are your thoughts? What are your expectations from today's elections in the United States? And finally, the End Bad Governance legal news tightens on Borno miners despite Tinubu's reprieve. Now, for those of you who do not know, while we're all screaming about these keys that we saw on television, something else was happening in Borno State. Apparently, the government is to investigate police conduct over the arrests in the cost of living protests. Senator is lauding Mr. President and faults the mishandling of the cases. Legal experts are saying that Tinubu lacks direct authority to order the release of detained minors. Well, it's time that I bring my guests into the conversation. For those of you who've been following, first and foremost, yesterday, my guest who was supposed to join me on the 5 o'clock hour, the presidential spokesperson, had to drop off to attend to the issue of, these minors being released. Mr. President had ordered the release of these minors. And then further this morning, there was a breaking story everywhere saying that the president has asked that this particular case be quashed. My guest is joining me via Zoom right now, and I'd like to introduce her properly. Yesterday, we were supposed to have Funke. Yesterday, over the weekend, I had told Funke that we're just going to talk about the arraignment of these minors. But today, we're going to talk about all of the developing stories. Funke Adeoye is a lawyer and she's the executive director of Hope Behind Bars Africa. Funke, so good to have you join us and welcome to the show. I know that you've been watching the developments as, it's been breaking in the news. Funke, can you hear me? I think that she's frozen. Funke, can you hear me? All right, Funke's connection is a little bad. Hopefully she can join again. I guess her connection is bad. But Funke Adeoye works with people who are behind bars, and she's a lawyer, obviously. Once she's able to join us again, we will get her to chime in on this issue. But Lagos, the phone lines are open and we're talking. These are the big three stories for today. By the way, it is being said that as much as, we're all pushing for women to be represented in all levels, at all levels of government, this whole presidential screening and the new reappointment and rejigging, women were still not properly represented. Yeah. I mean, I was reading that story and I was thinking to myself, hey, we pay lip service to these issues. And not even enough women were represented. Anyway, I think we have Funke back joining us. Funke, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Funke, I think that your connection is very bad, and I'm going to try as much as possible to see if we can... Can you hear me now, Funke?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, I can hear you. My apologies. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think that your bandwidth is low, and so it's giving us... So maybe you can just turn off your video and let's just do the audio. That might help us.
All right, I can hear you very well now.
Perfect. Now, I wanted to start by asking what, you think about the recent development. Many people are saying this is medicine after death. There are lots of people who are saying this is damage control. There are those who are also saying that the president probably did not understand how bad the situation was, especially with these minors. And now that he does have a clear picture, he's doing what he's done. What are your thoughts?
All right, thank you so much. I think that with the videos that came out from Friday, it is very, very normal for people to have different opinions, because I've seen those videos. I was in court, my team was in court. It was really appalling. Those children were in court without sleepers. They obviously have kwashiorkor. They have not eaten for, they haven't eaten for God knows when. If they have eaten, the food is not nutritional. It was a show of shame, especially because we're talking about minors. And we had been working with the legal team that has been on the case since August. And we know that those children had been in detention since August 2nd. A remand order remanding them for 60 days was granted by the courts. The 60 days elapsed and they were still in custody. So yes, this is medicine after death. There is no reason why those children should have been in detention in the first place. There is no reason why they should have been tried for treason. Treason is a capital offense. Treason and terrorism is a capital offense. There is no reason why we should have waited till Friday to see that scene for the president to act, for the president or any member of, his cabinet to act.
Funke, I want to quickly just play you this clip. There were two lawyers in the news when these children were arraigned. Like you said, you were in court and you saw how malnourished these children looked. And obviously, they're all not children. They're also adults who had been arraigned. But we also saw children. Now, there was an argument between the presidency's counsel and the counsel for the accused youngsters. Let's start with the counsel for the accused. Just take a listen, Funke, and then, of course, we'll talk more.
That are flying around social media. They were kept at the Kuje Correctional Center police and at the IRT, the notorious IRT at Sas Abatua. At Sas Abatua. Now, this is the facility that has held our young children that have been kept by this government over allegations of attempting to overthrow the president. The question now comes to, how can a 12, 13, 14-year-old boy who is looking very frail and malnourished attempt to overthrow the president? That is a matter for another day.
Counsel to the federal government, however, disagrees that they are all minors.
These boys that we brought to the court today, all of them are adults. Most of them are married men. None of them is a minor. Some of them are university graduates. The small kids you are seeing here, they came with some of their parents to come and greet their loved ones. They are not even the real suspect standing trial in this case. These boys were arrested in Kaduna and Zaria. These young boys are trying to destabilize Nigeria using the Russian flags and other countries.
Funke, I mean, you can hear, and when the first story broke yesterday, where, the president was saying they should let the minors go and, of course, commission the humanitarian ministry to make sure that they returned home to their families, I thought to myself, what do we make of this lawyer? Because this is your colleague. Again, this is coming at a time where the judiciary is facing some kind of backlash for all the many misguided judgments, for want of a better way to say it. What do you make of this?
I would try to say this very respectfully, but I think that we probably need to check his psychological state, because, again, like I said, we were all in courts. Even as far as the motion paper, the documents that of these people, the age of the children were there. So we had some of their names, cards, 14 years old, 13 years old, 12 years old. So when he said they came to greet their parents, is the court now some recreational facility where people come to do meet and greets? It is. I think we need to really check his psychological state, to be candid. And then when he mentioned the part about they were destabilizing the nation through the Russian flag, it will shock you to know that part of the charges against these children is that they were trying to destabilize the nation through placards. Please tell me, how do you overthrow a president using placard? I mean, it just begs the question of the kind of people that we employ, the government, employs, and the need to, remember NSAS protest was about checking the psychological state of...
Okay, can I let me just crave your indulgence. We need to go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this because, again, Inibare Fiong is asking for compensation for these kids and their families for all that they've gone through. So we'll talk about that when we come back from this break. It's still, all right. It's still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll take a quick break. Funka Adeoye is here with us, and we're still talking about these minors and Mr. President's order.
Credible journalism, bridging the gap between people and those in authority. With Hard Facts, you are sure to get only the facts.
Tune in to Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Fact. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies,
you are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
365 days of conflict. Hamas attack on Israel on October 7th killed 1,200 and kidnapped 250. To date, Israel has killed over 42,000, including 17,000 children, and decimated 70% of Gaza. These are not just numbers, they are lives forever changed. Join us for the first of our annual Borderlines Debate, a symposium on the Middle East crisis on Thursday, November 7th at 4 p.m. An exclusive special event where ambassadors, diplomats, and humanitarian voices will gather to debate the yesterday, today, and the way forward for Israel, Palestine, and the Middle East, live on TV and radio. Is there a pathway for peace? Speakers include Palestinian Ambassador to Nigeria, His Excellency Abdulhal Abu Shawez, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, OON, Ambassador Joe Keshi, former Nigerian Ambassador to the USA, Chief Femi Fani Kayode, former Minister of Aviation, Sadawa Kin Shikafi, and Professor Bolaji Akiyemi, Nigeria's former External Affairs Minister, to name a few. The Borderlines Debate on November 7th at 4 p.m. This is a chance to hear from both sides. Real stories, real stakes, real solutions. Don't miss the repeat broadcast on Friday, November 8th at 4 p.m. The Borderlines Debate, Thursday, November 7th, 2024 at 4 p.m. Media Syndicate Partners, Radio Now, Voice of the People FM, Liberty TV, and Plus TV.
My back, yo, my body, yo, my shoulder, with Salon Pass. When the back is on the pain, you with Salon Pass. When the body on the trouble, you
Salon Pass Pain Relief Patch provides effective relief for stubborn pains such as back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, and leg pain. Salon Pass is distributed by Drugstock and available in pharmacies and stores near you. Try Salon Pass today. Salon Pass, just patch it. If symptoms persist after 3 days, please consult your doctor.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
Your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Millions of listeners trust us on Hard Fact. Whether it's politics, social issues, controversies, and trending stories, you know we're credible and objective.
It's Hard Facts with Maryann Okon on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
All right, it's still the big three hard facts. 99.3 Nigeria Info. I am Maryann Okon. We're live, facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. You can join the conversation on WhatsApp, 08095975805. You could also join the conversation if you're listening to us from outside of the country via Skype or Nigeria Info FM. Or better still, you could call us 020127700993. And the ladies, 0201465790. Funke Adeoye is, of course, she's a lawyer and, of course, the executive director of Hope Behind Bars Africa. And we're still discussing the recent breaking story. Mr. President has urged, or rather ordered, the release of all these children, minors, even though his council, the presidential council, had said that these were not minors. Also, the court has terminated terrorism and treason charges against nationwide protesters. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has terminated the terrorism and treason charges brought against the nationwide protesters by Inspector General of Police. Justice Obiora Egwatu struck out the charges upon its withdrawal by the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Olasunkomi Fagbemi, on behalf of the federal government. What does this mean generally about, and this question is not for my guest, obviously, it's for you who's thinking right now and getting ready to call me. What does this mean about this whole debacle of, they're trying to unseat Mr. President? Remember what I said yesterday? The fact that people were complaining about hunger, starvation, and all of these things became a back burner issue. And all we, including the media, were all complicit. All we could talk about was treason. And everything that made the average Nigerian hit the streets, why they even started this protest in the first instance, got jettisoned. And so I come to you, Funke. Of course, we were talking about, what this makes the courts look like, what this makes the investigators, who's the police, what this makes of our policing system, what this also says about the presidency and the emotions that are running high.
Can you take your question again, please?
So I'm asking, with the quashing of the charges, with the fact that Mr. President is saying all the protesters nationwide should be let go, the Attorney General has withdrawn the charges. What does this say about policing in Nigeria? What does this say about the judiciary? What does this say about the presidency? Funke, are you still there? Oh my goodness, I think that we've lost that connection with Funke. Funke, can you still hear me? We lost Funke. Funke is going to come back to us in a bit. Inibere Effiong, a lawyer, human rights lawyer, has been advocating. Even Femi Falana has also said these people have to be compensated. And I'm also asking, can the federal government be sued? Can the Nigeria police force be sued? And can that council to the presidency be sued? Big question. I need your answers. Let's talk. Hello. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Good afternoon, Maria.
Good afternoon.
My take this afternoon, this is Pastor Ladipo.
Go ahead.
I'm calling from Orilegom.
Go ahead.
My take is this our daddy, called Uncle...
Who's daddy?
Donyo Kupe.
Okay.
I don't understand the way some of these people behave. They think everything is politics. Must they even think of themselves alone? How can you come up and tell us that Buhari destroyed the economy? You are not telling us that we should give Tinubu another chance with what we are seeing now. What is wrong with this man? Hey, Maryann, is it not funny? Okay, they arrested children. They put them in prison. Children, and a son is coming out to tell us these things. Anyway.
Thank you for calling. I appreciate it, Pastor Ladipo. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts. I think we have Funke back. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Godwin, calling from Lafwell.
Godwin, go ahead, please.
Thank you. It is very unfortunate for a father, a notable figure like Kukbe, known by Nigeria and Nigeria coming out to voice out what he said. To me, that man is simply looking for publicity, relevancy, and appointment from APC and President Tinubu, and nothing else. Then the other lawyer who was saying that they are not minor, they are married, whatever. To me, his sense of reasoning, in fact, they need to check him from the medical hospital to confirm and also to see if the certificate is going. It's really a genuine certificate, and to do the evaluation, it's a brain evaluation.
All right, take it easy. Take it easy.
If a person or that personality, under a normal sense, will be saying what he says.
Thank you very much for calling. Thank you, Godwin. 60 seconds is all you have. I'll take this call from Mercy and go back to our guest, Funke. Hello, Mercy. Mercy's calling us from Agbara.
Yes, ma. Not Agbara.
Not Agbara. I Mercy. Go ahead, please. Yes.
My dear sister, God bless you. Happy New Week.
Same to you.
You see, this thing, it's only this country, this kind of thing can happen. And very shame of
Mercy,
them.
turn off your radio, please.
Okay, I'm very sorry, my sister. You see how this thing they pay me, waiting this man, just they talk now. Why them can't carry their own children? Somebody come out. Okay, even though these children they carry another person's flag, you show them that do our own country like another person, another people country as is good. This is what these people that they are saying. For me, if they carry another country flag, do our own country like those people country make the country good. Waiting, are you going to talk about the country good? Why our Nigeria they are like this? Maybe they are sense in our back. I don't even know.
Thank you, Mercy, for calling.
I cannot.
Thank you for calling, Mercy. Everybody has 60 seconds. I have to go back to our guest. Funke, are you there? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I think that the connection today is not your friend. So
I'm sorry.
So we're talking a lot about politicking and talking about, we're looking at optics, but we're not less necessarily thinking about the picture that we've painted in the minds of these youngsters who, out of hunger and starvation, hit the streets. We're all talking about optics here. I mean, we're talking about the politics, the lawyers, what they said, what the president has done, blah, blah, blah. No one's talking about the mental health and even the general health of these youngsters and what they had gone through in those many days that they spent there. Now, for you who's worked with people behind bars, what do you think we should be prioritizing in the lives of these youngsters today?
I believe that there is just a lot to talk about when you look at this situation. And I think earlier you had made some allusion to it, that it just brings to the fact that our criminal justice system generally is ailing, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Because when you look at our criminal justice system, I mean, part of the criminal justice system is rehabilitation, reformation, provision of psychosocial support and whatnot. But in actual fact, there is a lot that needs to be done that hasn't been done. And so when you look at these minors, I mean, we are rejoicing today. We need to rejoice. They are out. But there are so many violations that has gone on, and somebody needs to be held accountable for it. The health of the minors.
Funke, are you there? Hello, Funke? Oh my God. Funke, can you hear me? There we go again. We lost her connection. Funke, are you there? Can you hear me? Oh dear. All right, let's hope that we can get Funke back and then let her go quickly because her connection is really, really dodgy today. Funke, can you hear me? Oh dear. All right. Well, I'm going to go read some of your messages. We're live, facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. If you're just joining us, the program is Hard Facts. These are the big three stories for today. Donyo Kupe is saying that Tinubu will spend 8 years and that there's been an arrangement of sorts because Buhari did 8 years. The North's going to do 8 and then the South's going to do 8. And of course, Tinubu will come back in 2027 if he wants to. At no point have I heard the Nigerian people's opinion, or rather being considered, because the truth is it's the people that are supposed to decide who sits there and for how long. But in Nigeria's case, is if the person wants to, he can sit there as long as he wants. What are we practicing again? I'm just curious. Anyway, in case you just want to hear what Donyo Kupe had to say, let me just refresh your memory. This is what he said a few days ago. What am I saying? Just yesterday night when he was on Channels Television. This video is courtesy of Channels Television.
I understand the economy. I have no idea what to do. Or your mindset may be such that it cannot actually accommodate what is required. Only, I don't want to use this word because it keeps coming to my mind. Only somebody who is just, who is just crazy, like Bola Tinubu, will stick out his neck at this. Whoever who will come to run Nigeria after 8 years of total destruction by a former administration. But yes, I think we didn't talk about this yesterday, but I'm sure he has that on his mind that I brought Buhari, and so I may have to take some parts of responsibility. But then Yoruba people say, I like them to be on way. I'm Mojo the way. The fact that he brought Buhari and Buhari didn't do well, we can't kill him for that. But I think Nigerians are being unfair. This gentleman has been here for 17 months. Only there was a man that was here for 18 months, for 8 years. Nobody asked any questions. Nobody said anything. Now this one is there for 1 year, and you're asking, why is he not correcting the ills of 40 years? Well, who does that?
Who does that? He says. So he can be there for 8 years. Are you ready for 8 years of Tinubu? And of course, the world is looking at the US as they go to the polls. Yes, and the Democrats are voting. The Republicans are voting. Who will emerge? That remains to be seen. The votes of the American people will decide. But then, of course, what's the major front and center topic for today is the fact that the legal news tightens on Borno miners despite Tinubu's reprieve. Police in Maiduguri, the state capital of Borno, charged 19 additional suspects and 3 minors for their roles in the protest, even after Mr. President had directed that these minors who were arrested be set free. Is the police doing the most? Are they doing too much? Because you see, Uncle Jimmy was also trying to say, maybe the president doesn't know what's happening and someone needs to tell him. Or could it be that the people who are trying to sabotage the president? I don't know. But what is it about these minors that's so comely to the police officers? And just as I asked my guest before she, dropped off the call, I just wanted to understand, what is the picture that these children will have in their heads forever and ever? Because, of course, this is... I don't want to say Nigeria has happened to these kids, because Nigeria is happening to us all. I want to know what exactly these children will come away with after this experience. Because, when people are talking... Have you ever met a Brit or an American and they talk about their country? As much as most people might not like the US, the average American is proud of their country. But can these children proudly say that they're proud of their country if they went out to protest against hunger and they were held behind bars, no food, no water, malnourished, some of them fainted? It took the hue and cry of Nigerians, an outcry of sorts, for the president to make a U-turn and let them go. But will they always remember this for the rest of their lives? Is this the Nigerian dream that every child should have? Oluwafunke, I know that I have to let you go because your internet is going on and off. Finally, are you going to be one of those who would support the taking up this case against the federal government, against the Attorney General, against the police IG, and whoever else you're joining in that suit?
Absolutely. We are where we are as a country because we lack consequence mechanism. People don't take accountability. We don't hold people accountable for their actions. That is where we are as a country. Like I was trying to say before I dropped off earlier, a lot of violations occurred, Maryann. A lot of violations occurred. These children had been in detention for 95 days. So yes, they're released today, but a lot has happened in that 95 days. A lot has happened. As a matter of fact, a fundamental human rights action had to be filed by the law firm of Femi Falana and Deji Adeyanju, accompanied by my organization, about 2 weeks ago, before they finally brought them to court last week Friday. So a lot of violations has occurred. And if we are serious about taking responsibility, we need to hold everybody accountable. In the first place, minors should not be charged for capital offense. There's no reason why that should have happened in the first place.
All right. Well, Funke Adeoye is she's a lawyer and also the executive director of Hope Behind Bars Africa. Funke, I'm hoping that you come back to us with whatever it is that the recent developments will be after this whole debacle. Hopefully you guys will come up with something and you'd come back to intimate us. Well, unfortunately, we've lost Funke again. Well, guys, I want to take your messages. Let me go to WhatsApp quickly, and then, of course, I'll come back to the phone lines. This is the Big Three on Hard Facts. Someone here says, good afternoon, Maryann. Can the judge plus the lawyer representing the federal government be sued? This is the condition some Nigerians found themselves in. They're sentenced unlawfully, misrepresented at every level of our system. Toyosi from Shasha. Thank you, Toyosi. Doyo Kupe is a political... Oh my God, you can't use such words on the radio, sir. Seeking for relevance and appointment from T-Pain. It's unfortunate that our worst are ruling our best. Share mediocrity, he says. Ugoeze Joe from Satellite Town sent us that one. This one says, Nigerians have grown beyond tribalism, tribal sentiment, and the agreement Dr. Doyo Nkupe is referring to. He's a comedian. I'm a Yoruba man from Oyo State. I've never believed in Tinubu and I will never support him. Atiku and Obi are the best option for 2027. No more trial and error. Doyo Nkupe is repeating the rhetoric we've been hearing during Buhari's hopeless tenure. Aki from Aja. This one here says... good afternoon. Tinubu is involved in too many high things in government. So many times we hear the president directed or given matching orders. What happened to those who are in authority? Why waiting on the president for him to give orders before actions are taken correctly? This is not a good thing in governance. Let everyone do their jobs well and minimize the presidential directives for issues that can be handled by agencies, departments in government. Remember, he is the president and petroleum minister as well. Bob Ken from Agbado. This one says, agreement with who? Tinubu is going to stay for 8 years. He should do OTP, one-time president. Safianu from Kanu. This one says, hello, Maryann. How can the council to the government say some of the children are graduates at 14 years, even at 17 years in this Nigeria? The same country that an average graduate is pegged at 26 years, including mild strikes for a 4-year course. Shaking my head. Akachimela from Oniru, thank you for your message. Larry here says, it's just unfortunate that Doyo Kupe has suddenly turned himself into Nostradamus, stating that Tinubu will be in power for 8 years. That this can only happen here where voters vote don't count. Okay. This one says, good day, Maryann. This is a very long message. I'm going to try to cut it short. Ty from Lekki, what he will say about the presidency, the Minister of Justice and the IGs that they can't be ashamed of themselves because shame has finished in the marketplace. To me, the IG should resign and the Minister of Justice should resign, and this Tinubu and APC-led government should pay these minors compensation for Doyo Nkupe na free food in where they see the warrior. Okay. Tower 2 here says, it's the same rhetoric the police used during the election. The CP in Kano boldly called kids with PVC who came to vote small-sized adults. That SAN clearly learned that language from the IG and his men. Doyo Nkupe is right because Nigerians will still vote T-Pain for another 4 years in spite of all that's happening. Emma in Lagos. This one says, Bob Marley shot a video in South Africa in the 80s which was tagged Sermon on the Mount. The title of that song is Redemption Song. Please play that song. Let Nigerians learn something from that song. Osagi, unfortunately, this is not a music station. Maybe you can go to Cool FM and request for that. This one says, Maryann, can you see the level of our policing and the type of people that parade themselves as lawyers in this country? The council for the federal government on this matter needs to be thoroughly evaluated medically because that man sounds pathetic to me. Okay. Tyre here says, I think the police are behind the charges against the minor and those children need to be compensated. Okay. The president is ordering the release of these minors. It's medicine after death. These children should be compensated. Chineye from Ikorodu. Doyo Nkupe is simply an ineptitude. Okay. He says, totally clueless. Anywhere below face. Paul from Ajar says, the Defense Council of the government shot himself in the foot by referring to these minors as these boys. But at the same time, he claimed that they were adults. How can a boy be an adult? This government. Now, wow. Those minors incarcerated over 90 days have been exposed to another world which will impact our society negatively. This systemic failure from our government must end. Yemi Ogundeyi from Alimosho. And that's that's the question I kept asking. We keep saying, we're talking about the politics and they need to be compensated. We're talking about what the lawyers said. We're talking about what the president has said. Nobody's thinking about the mental health of these children, psychological damage that's been done to these kids. And I'm thinking, if I were a kid for a second there, I would be like, why was I born into this country? What sort of a place is this? It's a dark place. I would think that. And I would be scarred forever. Unfortunately, this is Nigeria. Let's go back to the phone lines. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts.
If you do me, hello?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Chinayema calling from Surulere.
Chinayema, go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, Maryann.
I can hear you.
Hello? Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I don't even understand what is going on in this our country. You know, if you listen to that, the prosecuting lawyer, from his voice...
Chinayema, there's too much happening where you are. I'm hearing too many things and I can barely hear you. Do you want to call me back? Because there are too many things happening there. Please call me back. Too many things happening at your end. Hello.
Hello, Maryann.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Happiness from Ikorodu.
Happiness. Give us some happiness.
Maryann, you see, those children, honestly, if there's a way they can move them out of this country, let them just have a fresh air. I don't think the fresh air in Nigeria now, you make them stable. They can go elsewhere, have a fresh breath. Then, I don't know, their mental health. Honestly, they need help. They need serious help. Nigeria have done a lot to them. They need help. You can enjoy your day.
Thank you, Happiness. Thank you. Hello, welcome to Hard Facts. Hello.
Hello, Maryann.
Good afternoon. What's your name, sir? Where are you calling from?
From Ibadan.
Go ahead.
I want to ask, please, has Governor Fubara finished his accredited hospital?
We're not talking about Fubara here, please.
I know, because we're supposed to take Donyo Kugbe to that place to be examined properly. That's a year and 7 months. People already dying. Okay, is it my duty to bring the former administrator back to come and count for the misgovernance he did for Nigeria? Is it not the same people in power that bring him back to say, come and do this, come and do this?
Has it ever happened in this country that any former president's been probed? Has any former president been probed in this country?
That is why.
So why do you expect that that's going to happen now?
No. That is why they will go there and steal as much as possible. Because nobody will ask for them for it. That is it. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's why before they will leave the office, they will make sure they bring somebody that will protect their interests. Just like what former Kogi State governor has done. Can you imagine that somebody who has been a governor before and now no longer a governor, that the present governor immunity are still covering him in this country and people are still believing in Nigeria? It's a shame.
Okay.
Shame.
Thank you very much for calling. Thank you for calling. I do appreciate it. I want to quickly go to Facebook to take the thoughts of our Facebook people because everybody has to be carried along. I have just about a minute before we wrap things up here. Well, I hear at 4 o'clock, by the way, the presidential spokesperson is joining us, thankfully. You could direct all your questions to him, yeah? Idorin Jeremiah here says, our political leaders are so wicked and heartless, God will judge them all. Adedaya Samson here on Facebook Live says, Doyo Kupe is a political jobber. He's the reason why Peter Obi lost his last election. He worked against him big time. Just watch out. He would pot to the ruling party soon. Alatenuje politician, he says. John Bernard Ohi here says, please stop playing the sound bites of this man called Okupe. It's so annoying. It's not my fault. I have to report. Victor Lawson here says, Doyin Okupe wants to be relevant again. He misled Jonathan to go against Obasanjo and Jonathan was sent out of Aso Rock. Don't take him serious. How do people come up with all these things? All right, more messages. This one says, agreement call acceptance need because he is the masses that will determine the re-election. 8 years is not too short. You guys, you can turn Nigeria into a monarchy so he can reign forever. Nonsense talk. Olusegun Ajayi. This one says that man spoke now is a blazing lie from the pit of hell. Least we will all watch the children on television. Judge, okay, you're talking about the lawyer. Okay. But this one says, Maryann, people like Doyin Okupe will not be taken seriously because of double speak. He has dumped the Labour Party for APC to remain relevant politically. We don't need to listen to all these self-centered politicians. And for the lawyer who called those boys married adults, he needs to be sent packing as a lawyer. Elder Godwin sent us this message. I've got to go on a break. If I do have a little bit of time, yes, I do have time. When I come back, I'm going to read more of your messages. So stay with us. It's still Hard Facts, 99.3 Nigeria Info. I do have time. We'll be back.
Get breaking news, updates, and the best of talk.
Women have to work twice, even thrice as hard for them to get things that just come so naturally to a lot of men who feel that leadership is their right.
You were in prisons for how many years?
For 6 years, 8 months.
Were you going to court from prisons then?
Yes, but before I started court, it took me 2 years.
Just being in prison?
Yes.
Without your case even confinement? You were there?
Yeah.
Here on your number one station for talk, 9.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Credible journalism, bridging the gap between policy. In fact, you are sure to get only the facts.
More conversation, more talk, more right after this. This November, prepare for an epic clash of intellect.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.